Muévete en el espejo, enamórate del... Hi everybody, welcome back to another episode of El Caile podcast with me, Gabriela. And today we have our friend DTB here. What's up, DTB?
What's going on? How you doing?
Good. I just spent like the last hour with him, so I was like super... The interaction is not fresh, but it's okay.
Yeah, we've been interviewing.
We've been interviewing for like the last couple hours. How you been?
I'm good. I'm chilling.
What's like your update for those of you who are keeping up with DTB? What would you say like your most recent update is?
My most recent update concerning music?
Just in general, yeah.
Well, update-wise, I'm good. I'm down in LA working right now out of a studio called Very Special with my guys Jabba and Maka. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm back and forth between the Bay and LA, but, I'm still around.
You said you were going to LA for like a weekend?
Yeah, when I was with you guys, I was here, and then I was like, I'm going to go down to LA for like a week, and then I was out there for 3 months.
He just never came back. We're like, where the fuck is DTB?
I had too much fun.
That's why we had to catch you while you're here.
Yes, it was good. I always have to come home and stop by the shop,
Yeah, I feel like we kind of bullied him into doing this interview. Because you leave tomorrow, right?
No, I think I'm gonna leave Friday, so I'm good. I'm chilling.
I hope the same thing happens and then he stays here for 3 months. No, I know you have your responsibility in LA. I do actually have to get back. So that is an update. We're doing a soft opening of our studio on Monday, but we'll be. That's why I got to get back, really. But otherwise, I would love to stay with 3 months with you guys. I know.
Because you guys are all my friends.
We got to give him up to his LA friends. No, I'm just kidding. Boo. No, we love your LA friends. Okay, DTB, today is like super special because I feel like people don't know that you have a super cool story. And every time I've hung out with DTB, he tells me like another fact about himself that I didn't know. And then I've been like having, I feel like, conversations with people where I'm like, what should I ask DTB? What should I ask him? And one thing that always comes up is like DTB never goes to sleep. He's always up all night long. Obviously, he's like a musical genius. He likes to bake.
I do. I love cooking.
Okay, but one thing I learned today about DTB is that he's had an ASCAP account since 7th grade. He's had an active ASCAP account. Okay, some of you guys don't even know how to spell ASCAP. So tell me about your 7th grade, and I thought that was like the cutest thing. Like, you imagine like a 7th grade DTB, like a baby DTB, and he already has his ASCAP set up.
Yeah, I was making beats and posting them, I think, on MySpace at the time, and this guy named Tolu from New York had hit me up to do some music with me. And he kind of had a buzz in New York, and they had me do a couple songs for them that ended up going out on radio, and then they had me do like a commercial sing for Coca-Cola, and I had to record this song and like make an ASCAP so I could get paid and all the shit, and it was pretty cool.
So you had a Coca-Cola commercial placement in 7th grade.
Something like that. It was like 7th or 8th grade. It was like, I think the summer going into 8th grade. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It was like a little stick figure of a Coke dude like spinning around dancing, and I was like, I need a Coca-Cola. And then I recorded it as a demo, and then they just liked the song as it was. So then it, got a couple $100. It was tight.
History in the making at the time. We're gonna have to find the Coca-Cola commercial.
It's probably on one of my old computers somewhere.
I'm sure it's honestly, on YouTube, maybe, right?
Maybe. I've never actually looked. I should look.
Yeah, we're going to bring it back. We're going to bring back the Coca-Cola commercial. Okay, so that was 7th grade. Let's go back and because you said by 7th grade you were already making music. Mm-hmm. Let's go back to when you started making music and maybe, I don't know, like your upbringing, where you come from. If that's something you want to talk about, we don't have to if it's like too far back.
I mean, I can give a quick, as far as music, my older cousins both were in band. They played, my older cousin Brent, I think he played sax, and then the younger one, Jeff, he played trumpet. And I, as a person, when I was being introduced to band, I didn't want to play, like, for some reason I don't have anything against flute players, but I just didn't want to play flute or clarinet, or I just wanted something that was a little bit more, I wanted to stand out. And to me, the trumpet was like the loudest, coolest sounding instrument next to the sax. I didn't want to do because it was too big. I just didn't want to carry it. I think my cousin had a tenor sax, because both of them, my mom was like, your cousins are going to let you use their instrument, because instruments are expensive when you're growing up. So they had instruments already. So they were like, you can choose either a sax, a flute, or a trumpet. So I was like, I'm going to choose trumpet. So I started doing that. And then I played in like elementary school in like 4th grade, 5th grade, played in middle school. But I remember maybe, I want to say when I was about 9 or 10 years old, right before I got into middle school, I would say my neighbor across the street used to make beats, and his name was David, and he made beats on a Yamaha motif, and I used to take batting practice in the front yard of my house with my dad occasionally, and I remember doing that, but hearing the beat being made in the garage, and I didn't know it at the time, but he was sampling, because I was hearing him use like a piece of like an orchestra, and I was just in band in school, so I'm playing these excerpts where, even though we're playing for a long time, there's like one part of it that's like really cool, and I'm like, oh, I love playing this part. And then I hear him going through a sample and then finding the really cool part and just repeating it over and over again. And then I start hearing the beat getting built, but I hear it coming out of the garage, like they're across the street. And then one day I just asked my dad, like, can I go over there and see what's going on? And he's like, sure. So I went over across the street, and I went under the garage door was like halfway open, and I went under it, and my neighbor was in there with like 4 of his homies, and they were smoking blunts. They had a Yamaha motif and an MPC and a tape machine, and they just sat me down and just started teaching me how to make beats.
It's like you traveled to the future and like saw what your life was gonna be like.
Yeah, and then it was funny because I think at that, and then like shortly after that, like Hustle and Flow came out.
Oh, I love that.
And then I remember watching that movie and being like, "Yo, they took the cartons from the McDonald's, the cup holders, and that was their soundproofing." So I immediately just like went to McDonald's and tried to get like hella like the cup holders and tried to staple them on my wall. I didn't even have a mic. I just did it just to do it, right? And but yeah, that was the start of that. And then like middle school, I think like 7th or 8th grade, I got my first laptop, and it had GarageBand on it. And then I started learning about Pro Tools and Reason and all the other plugins and DAWs, but that was all new to me because I had been making beats with my neighbor on the motif. And he had a little computer with like a very, very early primitive version of Pro Tools. And I think the Waves thing, the plugin that he had, like there wasn't like anything to shape the voice or like EQ it. It was like warmer, brighter, and louder. It was like 3 different sections that you could just press, and that was like what you could do to make the vocal or whatever sound better. And it wasn't like much you could do. But once I got my own laptop and I like had GarageBand, it was like, oh, this is so easy to do. I remember I walked across the street and showed my neighbor like, hey, I can make beats at my house now on my headphones. And he was like, what do you mean? And I showed him on the laptop, and he was like, oh man, you're about to change the game. And I was like, I still think those beats were better that he was making, but he was kind of like, that's crazy that you can do that. And like now all the technology that we have like have access to, it would blow our minds when we were growing up what we have access to now.
If you could use like today's technology back then.
I was actually having a conversation with one of my friends about like the new technology that's out, like Splice and like chord generators and AI and all that. And at the end of the day, like as cool as it was to learn how to like the craft of being a musician and making those things, at the end of the day, like there's all of these tools out there that we have, and like I just want to see people make dope shit. Like it doesn't really, that's what I learned about making beats with my neighbor, was like he wasn't an amazing like musician as far as like playing a bunch of instruments, but he had a really good ear and would just feel his beats out. So, you know, I had a pretty good experience early on. And then, yeah, I made beats all through middle school, high school, and college. And then, yeah.
You have told me a lot of stories about like you playing sports.
Yeah.
Or you being like a multi-sport.
Yeah, sports was like a lot of my life growing up for sure.
Do you feel like that contributes to like the discipline that you have now or the dedication?
Yeah, for sure. Also my parents, because my parents were teaching me so much discipline because I would be in soccer, baseball, basketball, swimming, and band. So there was like never a time in my. I remember I was telling you when we were on the way here that I cut my hair in the car.
Yeah,
one time.
that's how I learned.
So yeah, I cut my own hair now because like I was so busy. I had to like learn how to cut my own hair because I didn't have time to go to a barbershop or the money to do it. So I would just cut my own hair and be really just like constant. Like I always had a schedule. I used to hate it. Now I love my mom for it, but she always used to make me make lists for everything. She was like, if you don't write it down, then you're never going to internalize it, right? And unfortunately, I didn't use the list as much as I should have, but I always remember just always having to make lists or do things to stay organized and stay on top of things because my mom is so on top of things.
Was that your mom's idea to put you in all the sports? Or?
No, I think they put me in a bunch of different things to see what I liked, and I liked all of them. So they were like, all right, we're going to do what we have to do to be able to do this. The first sport I gave up was soccer. I was doing swimming, baseball, basketball, and soccer, and my parents were kind of like, this is getting kind of crazy. Like, you need to narrow down. And I was like, seriously? I really love swimming, I really love basketball, and I really love baseball. So I was like, soccer is, it's not my favorite. I liked it, but it wasn't as much as I loved the other sports. So I gave that up probably like right around middle school, and then focused mostly on baseball and swimming. And then, yeah.
Yeah, I knew you swam. I've known, and you got like pretty seriously into swimming, right?
I did. It was pretty fun. Like, definitely was like a heavily competing swimmer, until I broke my back.
You broke your back swimming?
Not swimming, actually. Because I was doing baseball and swimming when I was like 12. This summer, going into like the end of my whatever the 12-year-old year was, I was at a baseball tournament in Sassoon. You know what that is? Mm-mm. It's up north a little bit, but it's on the way to Sac type. Okay. But I was at a place called Travis Air Force Base, and they had baseball fields there that were like kind of janky. Mm-hmm. And I was in the outfield, and I went to go catch a ball, and I dove for it. When I landed, there was like a giant hole in the ground, like a divot. My stomach landed. When I landed, I was like stretched out, and I landed flat on it. And my back was like in the hole, and my shit like that, and I went numb. And then my homies carried me into the dugout, and as soon as they laid me down on my back, that shit hurt hella bad. So I was off for like 2 weeks, and then I kind of like was still able to move a little bit. I even went and swam still and was still able to swim, but then like the following like fall going into 8th grade, I was at baseball tryouts for that year, and we were doing like sprint drills, and I tweaked my back and I heard it pop, and that's what really like finished it. And then they told me my back was broken. I thought it was like a torn muscle or something, but they told me my back was fractured in 2 places. So in all of 8th grade, I had to wear like a giant like corset sized back brace.
Dang.
All my homies would call me Brokeback Mountain. It was terrible.
I was not expecting you to say that.
Yeah, it was funny. But yeah, I had to wear this casing. Like it was like
Frida Kahlo had one of those.
Really?
Mm-hmm. She'd paint on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't paint on mine. I hated it because I had to like every day I had to like suck my stomach in like this and then pull the straps like as tight as you could possibly pull them. To straighten
your back out. I need
because
that.
my back, it was broken in the bottom. Like when I went like this, the bottom 2 vertebrae like hit each other and like cracked. So I couldn't put any pressure on it really. So they were worried about the disc like slipping out. So they had to put me in this like brace that would just hold me.
And how old were you?
I was in 8th grade.
Oh my God.
So my whole 8th grade was a back brace. I didn't play any sports. I didn't really do much. I did the music thing, but it hurt. It hurt to like push air through my horn. You know what I mean? Like when I was playing, like it would hurt because of the pressure. So I could play, but it wasn't that great. But then, after that, I kind of focused more on music and less on sports because my back was never truly the same after that. Like I went to Children's Hospital and they got me back really healthy, and it was great. I was still able to play sports, run fast, jump high, do all those things, but I could tell I didn't have the same, and then I feel like it kind of stunted my growth a little bit because
you're like refurbished.
I don't know. I'd like to think because I'm not the tallest, but I'd like to think that I think my doctor told me I could have been maybe about 5'8" or 5'9".
Without this.
Yeah.
But then
because it was so compressed. But
then you might have not made so much music.
Who knows? Who
knows, right? That's a crazy like butterfly effect moment right there.
He had to break my back to give me the blues.
Shit.
Pause.
Come on.
Don't use that.
That's gonna be the real.
Oh, I'm done.
Okay.
I'm cooked.
One thing I did want you to tell me about is you working at the fish market.
Oh yeah, my uncle's fish market. Tokyo Fish. If you guys are ever in Berkeley, California, off of Gilman, go to Tokyo Fish Market.
Okay.
Best fish, best Japanese food in the Bay.
Shout out Tokyo Fish.
Best Japanese grocery fish market in the Bay.
Shout out Tokyo
Shout out Uncle
Fish.
Cubby.
I just feel like you have so many like I guess you'd be like a Ken doll, like how they have all the different jobs. So he's like baseball Ken, soccer Ken, swim Ken. And he worked at the
I just got called Ken the Barbie.
You said it broke back Ken.
Ken in a corset.
Ken in a He said Ken in a corset. Stop.
But yeah, when I was, I think maybe 16 or 17, I started working occasionally in my uncle's fish market to make some extra money. And then I did that all the way until maybe I was about 21 or so, or 22.
I think the interesting part about that particular time in your life to me was that you were already like a super active musician or producer, engineer, and you told me that you would be at the market and you'd work all day and then you'd just go straight to the studio, and he just was like straight from fish market Ken straight into producer Ken. Like no pit stop in between.
Yeah, it was funny. I would definitely leave work and then come back to the studio with hella sushi and food from like whatever was left over.
Isn't that so crazy?
But I for sure would smell like hella fish. I've been cutting fish and cracking crab all day, so the guys would be in there and they'd be happy to see me, but also like, dude, you smell like shit. So I'd have to I had to learn to like go like change before I would.
That's hilarious.
But shout out my guys, man.
That's how greatness is made, like these are the stories that shape us. And yeah, every time I hang out with you, I just learn like a different like piece of information. Like today I learned that you were a multi-sport kid. For the whole time I thought you just played, or that you were a swimmer. But then actually I think I saw you post a baseball picture once on Instagram, like a baby picture with the bowl cut like this. Maybe, right?
Yeah.
That might have been him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's interesting how maybe the dedication or the discipline, I don't know what really like aspect of it, but I definitely feel like it bleeds into what you're doing now.
Yeah.
Even just working at the fish market, like that's dedication. Like you have to really want to do that shit to actually go there and perform.
I mean, the other thing that was cool too is my uncle's fish market was kind of like a community hub for all of the kids in the community to kind of get their first jobs, and like he was putting money in all of our pockets and kind of putting us all on, you know, like
Yeah.
my uncle was always there for everybody, like not just me. He was like everybody's uncle, you know, and he would offer everybody jobs, tell us to bring our friends from school, even if he didn't know them, he'd hire you, you know, and like if you screwed up, you screwed up, but like he was always kind of like a father figure for all of us that was outside of our own families, that in a work environment, you know, and like just kind of help. Like he would have us doing multiple different jobs too. I never really ever did the exact same job every single time. It was always something else, but he would have me work in different places and kind of tell me like, you know, if you're working in the front, you're working in customer service, you have to learn how to deal with people. And even if they're not necessarily the kindest people or hard to, so that really helped me getting into being an engineer, because when we work with artists, sometimes we don't always know the artists that we're working with. We don't know their personalities, and we're often being asked to do a several number of things very quickly, and it kind of taught me how to just work with people really well.
Have you ever had like a negative interaction with someone that you're recording with?
Oh, plenty of times in recording. Oh yeah, plenty of times. They're actually, I more laugh at them. I would never say I've had one scenario that was kind of bad.
Tell me, I want to know about it.
I was recording an artist one time.
What's their name? I'm just kidding.
No, I'm not.
Was their Instagram's like a block them?
They're
no,
a pretty big artist. They're a pretty big artist. We were in this big studio in LA, and this guy liked Percocets a lot, so he was very, you know, he was in there when he was recording, but he only recorded maybe 5 or 6 bars, and then I'm continuing the recording, and he goes, "What happened to the rest of my verse?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like, he was like, "You didn't record that?" And he started like yelling at me, and he was like, "What the fuck? Like, maybe you should go make some cookies or something." Right? And basically it was just hot, like, that I didn't, in his mind, he thought he recorded the bars.
And you were just like playing a trick on him?
I literally was just like, he recorded, then I just hit spacebar, record button to run it back as if it was another take and the whole thing. And it was like he just tweaked out and forgot, and he like yelled at me. So I just like respectfully like removed myself from the room. And then at least the guys told me that when I came back, when I was gone, they had talked to him and was like, "Hey, bro, first of all, that's our homie. Like, we get you're a star and all that, but like,
behave yourself."
And then number 2, like, no, you only recorded 6 bars with your dumbass.
Second of all, the truth.
So, but you know, like even in like what I was talking about working at my uncle's fish market is that regardless of how you may perceive that you're being treated and shit, you know, your job is your job, and you have to keep a certain level of professionalism when you're working. So, you know, that prepared me for situations like that, because it really was more funny to me than anything. It's like, damn, this guy only recorded 6 bars, and he's really so loaded that he thinks that
that's
he
ridiculous.
actually recorded the whole verse enough to actually go bad on me. So that was maybe like the worst scenario, you know, that I can speak about, but there's definitely been some many shit though that happens. I've never gotten to a fight. I've had someone threaten to kill me before because I charged too much.
What?
Yeah, that was funny.
What? How did they? Le mandaron una manda or what?
No, it's basically like we told him a price. He didn't like it, and he thought it was, I guess he had a different interpretation in his mind of what the relationship was supposed to be. And then, you know, he decided to call me and tell me that he was going to come do something to me. And I was just like, wow, this is crazy. So
he really threatened death?
Yeah, over some mixed prices. Nothing ever happened. It was fine.
That's crazy. That's hilarious.
It wasn't, you know, and like at the end of the day, like things happen, you know. I've definitely had people get mad at me for not coming to an agreeable price, but not to that
Yeah,
degree. But
you're never making a beat ever again. This gonna be your last beat you deny. Yeah, that's intense. But I feel like also you probably were super calm because you've been in the studio for like 100 hours before he showed up.
yeah,
And that's something that I did want to talk to you about is like never going to sleep or
yeah.
being in the studio. Like how what's like the longest you've been in the studio without leaving or taking breaks?
3 months,
Like you lived there.
pretty much. It wasn't just me too. It was me, young LB from LB was working on his album at the time, and he rented out this studio called NRG in LA, and yeah, we stayed there for 3 months, pretty much.
And then how many hours of that would you say you're working?
If I wasn't asleep, eating the entire time.
Sheesh, for 3
But there
months.
was something happening every time. There was like, whether if I was recording LB, if I was recording one of the other members of the group that we were in, if I was recording an artist coming in, if I was recording my own artist, like LB was pretty cool with me on that, being like, if you have other sessions that you need to go to, I want you to stay here, so I'll let you record them in my session. You just tell them to come here because we were just in a certain zone. So that was probably the longest that I was ever in the studio for.
3 months.
And then we left for like Miami for like 2 weeks, and then we came back into the studio and was in there for a month again.
That's crazy.
So yeah, that's about the longest.
When you go like days and days, because I feel like in order to go days and days like that, you obviously have to be in love with your craft. Mm-hmm. And you have to be like somewhat excited about it pretty much like the entire time, right?
Oh, I was definitely excited. Yeah. I mean, when I talk about being in the studio that long, for some parts of my career, it was definitely tough. Because it's not like my entire career was just always successful or always in big rooms. But yeah, when I'm in the moment of creating, I don't think about anything but the music. So it was something that, even though it was an extended period of time, I wanted to be there.
Right.
So that does make it a little easier.
Do you feel like you can pinpoint the time in your life or like around the time in your life where you just completely fell in love with what you're doing now?
I've always loved it, but I mean, I'd say probably in the last like 3 years, for real. Like in the first part, I always loved music, but it was just a grind a lot of the time, that I wasn't even necessarily focused on my own career as much as just like making it to the next day. But after I signed to IPC Collections, I was straight. You feel me? Shout out to my guy Max Perry.
Max
You feel
dancing
me?
back there.
Holding it down for us out here, man. But anyways, yeah, no, on some real shit though. Like, guys, get your business together. Like, it can open a lot of doors for you that you didn't know you had.
We were talking about that today, how like services like IPC or just even having your admin together completely makes or breaks you as a professional artist, right? You can be so talented, you can be so lit, like everybody knows who you are, hella plays, hella streams, doing shows, but if your admin's
having
fucked
your
up,
admin together makes you an artist, and it turns you away from just people being like, oh yeah, he's a vibe or she's a vibe.
right.
Like, when you don't really have an effective business plan, and you're kind of just your vibe, like, it doesn't mean you don't make tight shit, but when you want to like take your business seriously and like move forward, and have a plan, that's what makes you like
and look at numbers. I think the numbers, right? Like the numbers, as soon as you see the number, then you kind of have like your perspective either is like, okay, this is a good route, and maybe it's not. Maybe you're wasting your time. Maybe you need to pivot. Maybe you need more people on your team.
I wouldn't say that I think about stream count as I'm making a song.
Right.
It's something that we all have to deal with now in our, like, I came from an era that was like, you're either dope or you're not. Like, that was how you got calls. That's how you got gigs. Now, I'm not saying you don't have to be dope, but it's a different avenue of you can be dope as hell, but nobody will know about you. Like, there's this kid Miles who's on the internet right now. This Instagram kid. He's like 8 years old. He's a music genius. He has
I think I've
perfect pitch.
seen. Yeah, I've
see?
seen
know
that
exactly what I'm
kid.
talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
A kid like kids like that have existed in history before, but for them to be on Front Street on the internet for everybody to see it is a huge difference in how marketing has changed versus what was done back in the day. So, like we do now have to be aware of those things to know like what moves we can make if we want to maximize our output from what we're putting in.
Right. Also just using your leverage, right?
Yeah.
I think that's like super, super valuable. I'm personally learning this myself. Like we were talking about this on the way here, is like how without those numbers and without that leverage, like one conversation can destroy your career.
Yeah.
Or like just stump you. Like somebody could say, oh, I had a bad experience with that person. Now all like 15 people don't want to work with you off of the strength of this one conversation. You don't even fucking know these people. And then your ego's crushed because you have no numbers. Like there's no receipt there that says like, oh, I have all of this, motion supposedly, because it's not really motion unless it's being tracked. Yeah. And I'm inputting it into the computer.
There's a phrase that I like to use. Shout out to my guy AJ. I'm not in it for the money, but if I don't have the money, I'm not in it.
Oh shit.
Like I don't do music solely because I need money. I make music because I love music. But I take care of the music and the business that I have so that I can continue to go to the studio and fund the lifestyle that I need to be able to do what I do.
I feel like that everything you just said is like also like a branch off of you being in team sports. It's like I met a lot of artists, and like this comes up here in these conversations we have, is like artists hate to do the numbers part, and they like have no interest in the admin, and they don't care to get those things in order because they're just like emotional. They just want to make artwork and like hang out and I don't know, do lots of drugs.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely can say I've had a large number of artists that I've worked with that were in deals and they didn't understand the structure or the layout of their deal, and they unknowingly jumped into a situation with a bunch of people, and all of their assets, their money, their resources, their people were all spread out all over the place. And then when it came time for them to, pay off their advances or, even ask, when am I getting paid? They were, surprised almost. Like, what do you mean I owe this much money? Or what do you mean the money came out of my budget here? Or, I didn't know that this cost that much. And you then start to learn as you go through it, like you got to read the fine print. It could be good on the first paragraph and bad on the second one.
Right. You got to run that through the chat GPT really quick.
Yeah, we're a whole nother conversation. I think I was sitting with Max one time, and he was like, yeah, man, I don't even need a lawyer anymore. I just tell chat GPT, please remove all of the things that are unfavorable to the producer.
Period. That's how you use the machine. That's how you use the machine in your favor.
Yeah, don't get me started about the AI.
I love ChatGPT, except it takes one water bottle every time you use it. So use it wisely.
What?
Yeah, to cool off the servers. Like it's you can't just be on there all day long. to prompt it one time, it uses as much energy as it costs to run a light bulb for 20 minutes. So
Shout out to our sponsors.
Thank you, Yermamonte, for never sending me nothing. I'm just kidding.
They sent me cases.
Come on, Yermamonte.
I'm going to holler at them.
Yeah, hello. We even did a commercial for you guys. What the hell?
For real?
Yeah, and it was hella Mexican people. Like, that's a whole new demographic.
Oh, shit.
Ungrateful, huh? Damn. And we from the hood. Hello?
Drink a lot of yerba here.
We do drink a lot of yerba here. It's I think my cortisol is spiking because of all the yerba mate.
Too turnt.
Fuck, too turnt. Yeah, so kind of like on the subject of like staying up all night. And I feel like, again, like you have to be completely in love with the craft.
Or nuts, yeah.
Or nuts. A little bit of both, huh?
Yeah. I make a joke all the time because people ask me like, like how do I stay up? And
Yeah.
I'll say jokingly, but I'll mean it like in a serious way. Is I'll be like, I have a burning desire to be great. But that's like kind of true. Like I really can't like go to sleep peacefully if I didn't feel like I did everything I could
For that day.
You know what I mean? Like I might have a bunch of shit that I need to do in the year or whatever, but like whatever I'm needing to accomplish in that day, if I don't do that, like it won't sit good. My gut, remember we talked about
but having a
my
healthy
gut will wrench, as in like I'll be the worst extra voice in my head being like, bruh, like my mom told me for sure when I was growing up that like I don't remember the exact phrase, but basically like saying the phrase "I'll do it tomorrow" is the death of any progress. Like putting everything off, saying I'm gonna do it tomorrow turns into a month, turns into whatever. So I have this like, it's almost like my mom saying it in my ear that if I like had a set of things, like if I had a mix to do, for example, and I needed to finish it by a certain time, most of the time I would probably only need to spend 4 hours on the mix. But like, if it ain't right, and it's not gonna sit with me, and I can't just do my 4 hours and leave. I'm gonna be like, no, someone's gonna hear that. Like, it might be a little overthinking, but I really truly believe that Beyonce's gonna hear my song and
For
needs
sure.
to hear how I do shit. Like, I believe that when I put my song out, if it's on the internet, anybody can hear it. So I want to be represented a certain way.
Amen.
So if I don't do everything I can for my records or for my song or whatever I'm trying to do, I can't go to sleep. So
that's part of the reason why you stay up for 3 months straight.
Well, I didn't stay up for 3 months straight, obviously. I was in the studio, but we slept in the studio for sure. I definitely, like, I'll consistently do 2 days in a row. I will be up for Monday, all of Monday. Like, I'll get up Monday, 11 a.m., get to the studio, have some coffee, smoke with my guy Dot, start my day, and then it'd be same thing until the next day. And I'll just be making music, mixing, producing, writing, teaching, whatever. So
can we just talk about how unfair like DTB's existence is? Because he was born into like a really nice family that like put him in all the sports, which like a lot of us didn't have, right? And then he loved the sports, and he was probably really good at the sports because he was always doing them. Then he like had this like neighbor, I don't know, like all the pieces were set up so perfectly for you to kind of go into this path, and then he's just nonstop working and, no pun intended, perfecting his craft every second of the day. Like, you know how unfair like this this organism
can
is?
I tell you a funny ass story that's about so when I was growing up, my mom always used to make me do next week's homework. Like, she would be like, if you do, like, it'd be like Friday. It's supposed to be the weekend. She'd be like, if you do Mondays and Tuesdays and whatever next week's homework now, the next weekend you can have completely free. And I'd be like, all right, Mom. Well, that went on from like 4th grade to like sophomore year. And finally I snapped and was like, when the fuck am I getting a weekend? I was like, when? I've been doing next week's homework for years. But now as a grown adult, my mom put me weeks ahead of everybody else. I was constantly like I would do this night's homework and next night's homework and the next week's homework. Like in one night, I'd be up until 2 a.m. doing homework, and then have to be at swim practice at 5 a.m., band practice at 6 a.m., and then, first class at 7:30, and then go all the way to school. Then after 3, it's baseball practice from like 3 to 6, then another band rehearsal from like 6 to 9, and then homework from 9 to like 2. And that was like every day for me from like far back as I can remember.
Do you know how behind the average person is? Like in comparison to DTV?
When I was in 7th grade, I was going to the high school for classes.
Oh,
like I was going to the high school
God.
to be in the band. I was going up there for math classes. I was like, my mom had me doing every next week's homework until I got like grades ahead.
That's so fucking intense.
Yeah. So that's where the discipline really came from. My mom being like, You can have next weekend.
I mean, you trusted your
Thank you,
mom.
Mom. I love you, because I wouldn't be where I am now. Because, like, really now it'll be, someone will be like, hey, you want to send some beats for Kodak Black? And instead of me being like, damn, I got to do this, I already have. He's like, actually, I already had like 20 beats from that we made already. It's because, like, I take every opportunity. Like, I can do so much in an hour. Like, people underestimate like what you can do in actual time, like when you focus. Like, if I wanted to, I could make damn near 50 beats in a day. If I really devoted my entire day to just making beats.
Jeez.
If I woke up at 9 a.m. and cooked until 9 a.m. again, I would make 50 beats, I promise.
I don't doubt it.
And I'm not the only person that can do it. I know several. Like, the first person that really whooped my mind on some you need to work harder shit was a producer. Shout out my boy, June the Genius from Houston. I remember meeting him in like 2014 or so, maybe even earlier. But he came to my studio in Pinole, right off of Appian. And when I first met him, he didn't even hook up to the computer. He was just sitting by himself on his laptop and his headphones. And then, he hooked up. And I think he made about 3 beats in front of me in about 20 minutes. And they were hard. And I was like, bro, what the fuck? And at the time, I think he had just done a song for YFN Lucci and PNB Rock. It was called Every Day We Lit or something like that. Every day we lit. You can't tell me shit. He had just produced that, and that was like a #1 record. And then he had done something for the Migos. And I was just like watching him cook, and I was like, hey, bro, like, how many beats do you make a day? And he said probably like 30 or 40. And I was like, what? And he's like, nah, I just love making beats. And then his manager was there, and she was like, yeah, I've known him since he was like 16. He's been making beats like this. It doesn't matter. We'd be at the airport, whips his laptop out. We'll be waiting to get on the bus, whips his laptop out. On the bus, whips his laptop out. Gets off the bus, waiting for the Uber, like next call. We didn't have Uber back then, waiting for a taxi. Whips out, makes more beats.
That's so crazy.
And I'm like, because even though I work really hard, I still had my own studio and a comfortable, somewhat place to be in. Like, I'm thinking about this guy on his laptop and these broken ass headphones, and his shit's hard. And I'm in here spending hella time trying to make my shit all perfect, and his shit is just, and he can't even, mind you, I played trumpet, I played a little keys, I knew music. He didn't know nothing. He couldn't tell me a chord change, a key of the song, none of that shit, but his ear knew it. So he'd be like, bro, I just do shit that, you can't play. I can't play, so I'm going to make melodies that you couldn't even play anyway. So he'll put like one note on the screen, and then he'd run it through like a thing called gross beat or some other shit, and it would make a melody. And then he would just start adding drums to it. And I watched him do this for this whole week I was with him, and I was like, I literally, to myself, was go, oh, you're not as clean as you think you are. You got a lot of work to do.
That's crazy.
So that kind of effort was like one of the first times that I was like, and the thing was to me is that it wasn't like, I mean, he was giving me this, I'm grinding, but he had #1 records at the time. But he still had that humbleness, that hunger, the drive, the dedication, the passion, and it didn't matter if anybody else was around. He was going to be doing that, and you knew he was going to be doing that. So I modeled myself to be like that, and being like, when I walk in the room, you should already know what time it is. Like, you should already know what I do and I've built my whole career that way, that now you hear that DTB doesn't sleep. DTB stays up, making hella beats. DTB's dedicated because that's what I wanted to be.
Not to mention, today, Max told me, because I've never been in the room when you're working. I've only hung out with you not while you're making beats. Like, I've hung out with DTB when he's like trading Pokemon cards. Like, he's doing everything except making beats. But today, Max was like, when DTB's making a beat, it's like a performance. It's not like a regular person like sitting in front of the computer making a beat. It's like he's performing. So, not to mention that it's apparently like a sight to see DTB in action.
Maybe we should hang out.
Yeah, maybe one day. I definitely want to come to LA and see your new studio. Yeah. That's something that I'm really looking forward to.
Yes, we're up and rolling very soon.
That's exciting.
Shout out Very Special, Jabba, Maka, my guys.
Shout out Very Special. Let's see. I have some questions like written down,
Okay.
but I feel like the most fun one was like, how did you learn to cut your own hair? He kind of like started telling the story, but let's give me the rundown.
I think when I was maybe in 7th grade or
Wait,
something
before
like
you start, like, can we just acknowledge and appreciate the haircut that he gave himself today? Okay.
I'm quite handsome.
Very humble man.
I'm just
That's why we
kidding.
love him.
I was taking a page out of Guap Dad 4000's book. Shout out Guap Dad too. This one time I remember this is like the most Riz I've ever seen in my life. We were in the studio with Guap Dad, and these girls came up into the studio. None of us knew them. They were just some I don't know who they were with. But anyways, they came in, and this girl, I don't remember her name, just for now, we'll just call her Ashley. She walks up to Guap. She's like, "Oh my God, hi, I'm Ashley. Nice to meet you." And Guap Dad goes, "Nice to meet me too."
Oh my
And
God.
and she lights up and goes, "Oh my God, you're so funny." And I'm like, boy, if I said some shit like that, I'd damn near get slapped. Oh no, what's going on? What the fuck? And then, yeah, but anyways, I had to take a page out of my guy's book. But yes, my hair. I started cutting hair in like 7th grade because I was going from, so I played summer baseball league, which is coinciding with the swimming season. So I would be literally going from swim practice to baseball practice to swim meet to tournament. So one time I was coming out of a baseball tournament from Modesto, and I had like forgotten to cut my hair because for swimming you need to like, this shit drags. Like,
Yeah. You need to
makes
be
you go
what is
like-
that called? Aerodynamic.
so even though I wore a cap, I still would cut my hair or whatever. But we didn't have time to go to a barber or anything, so we stopped at Bed Bath & Beyond, and my mom got some clippers in a trash bag, and we had like one of those like cigarette lighter outlet sockets in the car, so I plugged into that, and then as we were driving to my swim meet, I was in the back seat cutting my hair using I could see the little mirror, my mom's, the middle mirror like this, and I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, that wasn't that hard. So then I just decided I was gonna start cutting my own hair. And then from like 7th grade till now, I just like always cut my own hair.
Tell us about the haircut mafia you had running in the bathroom stalls at school.
Oh, it actually wasn't at the bathroom stalls. I had done that, but my homie Daniel had a spot across the street from Albany High School, and we would always hang out there. So yeah, when I started cutting hair, like my homies were like, "Oh, you think you can cut me? Like, I ain't gonna lie, like I'll give you like $10, $20. Like I was cutting everybody for hella cheap, but I damn near had like probably like 20 people that I was cutting in the high school. Like that was one of my forms of income for sure.
He was also Barber Ken.
Yeah.
He was all the Kens, bro. You were a lot of the Kens.
That's hella funny. Yeah. What could I say? My parents made me well-rounded.
And apparently he cut all of these haircuts with the same Bed Bath & Beyond clippers.
Oh yeah, for hella long. And then my mom, like before I went to college, she got me like a nice like Oster, like professional cutting system that was like $600. It was like a perfect set and had like super sharp blades and it was fire.
That's so cool. It's such a cool story. You see how like every time you hang out with DTV, you'll just learn like something else different. Just because he had like such a like packed beginning part of your life. So now I would say like this recent part of your life, obviously you've been making music forever, but you did mention that in the last 3 years is when you like, I would maybe like you feel a little bit more satiated in your passion to be great, right?
I mean, it comes to with a little bit more of the successes that I've had with some of the records that I've done or the artists that I've played a part in helping their career take off. But I feel more at peace now because I'm focused on my goals, that my team and the people that are cool with me, like they really are my friends. Like, we spend a lot of time chasing in this industry because we're constantly trying to move up. So we're always reaching here. And I still am constantly trying to move myself up, but I've removed a lot of the personal from the music, meaning that I don't consider myself a better human because I'm able to make cool melodies. As in, like, I want to have peace in being with people that I'm very cool with and enjoy making the music with. It just so happens that some of my friends are very lit in this music shit, but ultimately, I'm at more peace now because my goal is back to the music.
Just having a good time.
Yeah, because IBC got my shit right. You feel me?
What would you say is like the projects or work that you're the most proud of?
It's tough. I feel like every record I've ever touched, I always put that much effort into them. I'd have to say for sure, "Girls Like Me Don't Cry" by Twee is definitely one of the most meaningful things that I've ever done in my career. It was cool to get a big record with someone like Moneybagg Yo, who was already lit, but it didn't feel the same as working with someone like Twee, who was known but not huge, and watching her grind with us and like together make a record that actually became something. You know, that was like probably I would say for me at least, that was like the true calling of being a producer, is finding an artist, believing in them believing in you, working hard together to figure out a sound, and then putting everything you have behind it, and it actually paying off and doing that. Because what I tell people all the time is, like, if you really want to make it in this shit, you have to be prepared to do that and it not work and still be able to go. Because more times than not, we'll all, I've seen artists get in and be hella excited to work on a record. They really love it. Their whole team loves it. And then it does shaboobala boopty when it comes out. And it almost crushes their soul.
Right.
And you have to remove yourself from that. But, of course, nobody's going to deny it. It feels good when you do that work and it does pay off into something. So with Twee, it really felt like that happened for me with her. Because she's now doing, like, you know, she can do whatever she want now, damn near. Like, she's got her platform. She's making dope music. People know about her. She has a huge door open for her now to be able to actually, you know, build her career out. Whereas when we first started, she was just, you know, struggling to continue to, like, make music and be inspired, you know?
Right.
So that was, like, probably one of the most meaningful songs or projects that I worked on.
I'm sure she can say the same about working with you.
I hope so.
I'm sure she can. I feel like when I hear
Shout out to Twee, man.
Shout out Twee. She's like an unproblematic queen, you know? All I've ever heard from her is like she makes beautiful music. She's a great role model. She's obviously gorgeous. She's so talented. So I feel like you guys coming together and working. I mean, obviously you're like the greatest person. So to know that that's like one of your biggest or meaningful accomplishments, it really makes me happy to hear that.
Well, see, I just respected her. I remember one of the ways that the way I even started working with her, she was working in our studio, and I had my own room that was separate. But remember, what we talked about is that I'm up all night. I leave the studio late, so I would be the last one usually leaving the studio. And I remember walking down the stairs, and it's like 4 a.m, and I'm still hearing music, and I'm like, "Who is downstairs?" And I open the door, and it's her.
Dang.
And I'm like, "Hats off to you. Keep working. Go about my day. Keep doing it." Months go by. She's still in that motherfucker.
Damn.
So I'm like, one day I'm like, let me hear some shit. Because anybody who's spending the amount of time that I spend in here is probably got some going on. At least some that they're intrigued enough to not leave. So I heard her project, and it was a little rough around the edges, but I was like, wow, this is pretty good. And then eventually they asked me to help her with her project, I Hope You See This. And it was one that had already kind of been produced by some other people, but they just needed some extra touches to help with it. So I helped kind of with the mixes and the arrangement and just having her kind of like clean up some of the stuff that she was doing. And it made the records blossom, and I felt like, you know, it was a good project. I didn't know it was going to do 60 million views. But she knew. She believed in her records so much that it made me believe more. So that's another thing I want to tell people too, is like, we're not going to believe in you if you don't believe in yourself.
Period.
So
Period.
for all you people out there that are making all this dope vibey shit, but are like, I don't know, just fuck it, bro. Just do it. Just do it. Twee didn't necessarily know or not know. She just believed. And she put her whole heart into it, and coupled with the talent, that's why she's, I think, where she is now.
That's amazing. Something I can definitely take from that is if you're putting in so many hours, only people that are also doing that are going to see it. Because the people that are not putting in the hours are not going to be there where you are to see it. So the acknowledgement will always come from somebody like DTB who's in the studio all night long to see you there also, you know? So I feel like, and also I feel like people who, like yourself, who can kind of see way over the average person's head, sometimes they won't give you that validation immediately, even though they see you working really hard, because they need you to prove yourself in a certain way, you know? So I feel like what I take from that is that you can't really expect validation from people who aren't doing the work. Like, they'll never even have the validation from themselves to give it to you, right? Yeah. So I can just imagine being in that studio where she was and like working day in, day out, and then seeing...
You know what's crazy is the day that record particularly was made because that's how she actually felt. She did not want to come to the studio that day. We had a string of days that we were in the studio booked for, and I get a call from her boyfriend, Charlie, and he's like, man, D, she's not feeling it today. Like, she's damn near probably, she don't want to come today. And I'm like, well, that's fine. She doesn't have to record. Just tell her to come pull up and like at least hear some beats or something. Mm-hmm. And then I hear her in the background, like damn near screaming, like not like hysterical. She was just like, I'm like almost like on some just like stressed out. Like, mm-hmm. I don't want to go today. Like, she wasn't like freaking out. She just, I can hear her in the background. It's just like, no, I'm not doing it today. And Charlie's like, you know what, dude? I'm going to talk to her, bro. Like, she does need to come to the studio. She mustered up the strength to come. And I remember sitting there, her coming in, and she kind of sat down. She was in her, like, sweatsuit and was, you know, she knew she didn't want to be there at first. But we started cooking up, me and Tone, the guitar player, and we didn't really come up with anything special at the time. We were just cooking, and then we ended up ordering food. So we're sitting there ordering food, and I stepped outside in the hallway to smoke a blunt. And then Tone finishes eating, and he starts playing that melody. Mm. And Twee, who hadn't said a word for 4 hours, goes, in a surly voice, that's tight. As in, like, you're so not in the mood that this has to be so hard that you've, like, because I heard it, and I was like, oh, shit. And I damn near looked at Tone, I looked at her, and I was like, I need that right now. And I knew that if that melody, it was a tight melody, but I knew that if the mood she was in even made her say something, I was like, there's something here. And then me and Tone made the beat, and by the time they were done eating, Twee had literally cut the hook. Dang. And like the first time she cut it, it was that. Like, it had a couple mumbles in it, but it literally was basically what you hear. First take. And we were all like, oh shit. Because we knew, like, I've heard the story from people, like, when you make one, you'll know. Mm-hmm. That was the first time in my life that I ever made one from dead scratch that was just like, oh, that's...
Where could you feel it? Like, in your body?
In my gut.
In your gut?
It was the concept. It was the melody. It was the sound. It was the timing. It was everything. It was like... Twee is in the mood, is literally saying, I don't want to be here. Yeah, so she said, girls like me don't cry. We just pretend we don't cry. And we said, oh my God, that's the most meaningful, like.
And she really felt that way in that moment. You guys were all in the mood.
So, and then it was funny because it started as kind of like an acoustic pop beat, but she was kind of like angry. So she was like, make it slap. Like, as in, don't do it too cutesy. Like, make that shit knock. And I was like, oh, I'm all for that. Like,
perfect.
So, we ended up doing all these different things in that record that were really like, we used like 3 basses. There was like a key bass, there's a synth bass, and an 808. So there's hella shit going on, but I just remember that how much that record felt, how much was attached to it. That's why that's like the moment for me.
That's so cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for asking.
One more special DTV Ken story for the books. I feel like I had a question like at the top of my head, and then I totally like spaced because I got too excited. Do you feel like you still? Because I know that we talked about you feeling comfortable and at peace. That's what you said, right? Like you're at peace now. Do you feel like there's still struggles that you've always had within like the music space, or just like you as a person coming into this music space, just like in your human life?
I'd say that the peace comes from accepting the struggle. It's like, I think for a long time I was trying to like imagine a life that was like problem free, like as if that was really gonna happen. And my peace comes from knowing that shit's gonna happen and being prepared to face it. You know what I mean? Like, now that I'm comfortable with the things that can happen, like I'm not gonna say I've experienced everything you can experience in the music shit, but I've experienced a lot of shit that shows me that, at least in my interpretation, it's up to the individual how they want to take it. Like I truly have learned to not take things personally, and my life is much more peaceful that way. Like, yeah, you might send a beat to someone and they don't reply to you. You can't just suddenly go, "Oh, bro, don't fuck with me." It's like, you didn't even talk to him. You didn't do any like, and you can't also go like, "Oh, bro doesn't fuck with me because he didn't like the beat." Like, nobody is entitled or forced to like what you make. You have to like what you make. That's what makes us like you. Like, I've seen Guap Dad will people in a room to a song. He would do a song and his energy was so amazing that everybody in the room who was unconvinced was convinced by the end of the night because he fucked with it so much. And you look at Guap Dad and you go, that's a star. And then you go, damn, what is he doing that I'm not doing? Because you just see him in his mode. There's no questioning it. You know the train is moving.
Do you have advice? I do know what you're saying, because I know I've experienced those kind of people, and I feel like a lot of people have that in them, but it's kind of difficult to access that.
You know, I talked to I was talking to one of my friends the other night, and we kind of realized that his biggest problem is that he doesn't have a goal, so he has no threshold. You know what I mean? Is to know when you're doing too much or too little. Because he has no goal, there's no parameters for him to follow to know when he's doing the right or the wrong thing. No purpose. For me, my goals, because I'm so driven for what I want, every decision I make every day is towards making myself better. That's why I'm here. I could have done this podcast with you maybe at your home. I could have done it somewhere. I'm doing it at the studio because what do you guys think I'm going to do after this interview? I'm going to walk into one of those rooms and I'm probably going to try to make a beat that I think can change my life. Right. So, you know, the struggles and all that shit, it's not like, I mean, to be completely transparent, my dad is fighting a cancer that's not curable right now. So I have some of the most personal, painful things happening in my life, but pretending like they don't exist doesn't help me. It's accepting the beauty of what I do have, being able to talk to him on the days that I am able to talk to him. And, you know, what I was talking about earlier about this feeling of chasing all the time, I remember talking to my dad earlier this year about some frustrations I was having. And he said, you know, at my age, at 80 some years old, and I'm looking at my last days, I would look back at these days, where you are right now is the glory days. He said, when you're my age and you're looking at the end of your life, you're going to wish that you had those problems. You're going to wish that all of these things were happening. So enjoy the moment. Don't worry so much about what you're chasing, because you'll be able to enjoy your life a little bit more, you know? So me being able to learn that from my dad gave me a lot of peace, because I'm not comparing my vision of myself based on a placement that may or may not happen. I'm proud of myself for what I do every day.
In this
So that
moment.
gives me peace.
Right now, in the present moment. Damn, that's such a good takeaway from DTV's dad.
Thank you. Shout out, Pops.
Shout out, Pops. Shout out, Papa DTB. Thank you for giving us DTB and making him so great and so disciplined. I feel like we probably wouldn't even know you if you didn't do all that crazy shit, like play all those sports and like play the trumpet and like listen to your neighbor making beats, smoking weed. Like,
right.
You probably wouldn't be here in this moment. That's so crazy.
You know, it's funny. I actually didn't. I haven't shared this with everybody, but I'm actually adopted. So I don't know if I've ever told you.
I think you mentioned it to me.
So
but
I
not
always imagined myself like, what if I was like Japanese DTV, like where I was like in Japan and had like the long hair and like
the shoes that have like the two little blobs right here with the toes
like
like
I
that.
always imagine like, but I still feel like I would end up somewhat like I am. It's just I came over to America and you know started fucking around.
You're living the American dream.
So, you know, but yeah.
Does anybody out there have questions for DTB? I feel like this is like a special moment that we have him sitting right here. We kind of had to chase him down because he leaves on Friday.
Right.
So we don't have a lot of time with him. No questions out there. Come on, Max Perry. Oh, jeez.
Ask Baines.
What was the question?
He asked me how many clippers I put on my master bus. Too many. Yeah.
Do the quick questions.
Wait, I do want to ask one more question. We talked about being confident and believing in it. And I shared something with DTB earlier. Is like the other day I went to the Cuatro Quince show, and then after the Cuatro Quince show, I came here, and I was here all night. Well, not all night. To me, all night's like 12 because I'm an old lady. But then I went home and went to sleep, and I woke up, and then my job is also like music. And then when I was getting ready for work in the morning, I was so fucking tired and so dehydrated. And then I was like, dude, I just gave up all my life to music. And it hit me in that moment. I was like, every part of like my social life, which I don't really have, but this is my social life right here. My creative endeavors, all my friends and my job is all like, I just gave up like my life, and I would do it 100 times over because this is like what I'm really passionate about. And you always talk about like, don't do it unless you're serious about it. Right? Like, don't do it unless you're like ready to basically give up your life for that. And I just want, maybe if you have like advice for young artists, because I know that it's hard for people to put their music out. I know like the best kind of music is the music that's out, right? Like, you wouldn't know that the music is good because it's not out. I feel like some artists, they don't have the confidence, or maybe the discipline, or maybe they don't really believe in themselves as much as they should. So I feel like if you could give any advice to like young artists, what would it be? Just like as straight up and transparent and blunt as possible.
There's a number of things that I would say. I don't know. Probably the same thing I said earlier. People are only going to believe in you as much as you believe in yourself, and it doesn't mean to be delusional. But, you know, I've definitely gotten better as my career has gotten on. Like, this year's mixes were better than last year. But I'll tell you honestly, from the bottom of my heart, in the moment of me doing whatever I've ever done, I thought that was it. As in, that was the best that it could be. That's the best mix. That's the best beat. That's the best 808 choice. That's the best rap. That's the best. Because otherwise I wouldn't have put it out.
You gave it your all.
What you saying about not knowing if it was clean or not. Yeah, I found out it wasn't as clean as I thought it was when I ran into June the Geniuses. Right? But that confidence of myself has always been there. It's believing, like, it's not saying like I'm the best compared to everybody else. I am the best version of myself right now.
Amen.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what I'm putting forward when
the internal validation.
Exactly.
Right.
So to young artists is like, you're never going to know how far you're going to go. That's why you got to push the boundary. That's why I keep going. Like, I have platinum records. I have a Grammy nomination. I have all these things, but I'm still in the studio. What time was I in the studio till today, Will? 8:30, 9?
8:30?
I was in the studio till 9 a.m.
Damn.
Oh, so what did I do with you the night before that?
Damn near 5.
So, like, I want to know how far, how good I can get. The fact that I know I can get better is why I go hard. If I wake up one day and I don't think I can get any better, that might be the day that I quit. But as long as I think I can get better and I can learn something new, I'm finna learn it.
Period. I love that.
So, yeah.
Every day you're growing.
Go hard, guys.
That was the advice. Go hard. Or shut the fuck up. Look, Max is so proud of me back there. Max loves it when I get crazy. I be trying to keep it together. As soon as I'm like, go fuck yourselves, Max is like, hell yeah.
It's because Max tells it like it is.
Right? It's funny because my notes were like 7th grade Coke commercial cuts his own hair. That was the notes for the interview. Okay, so this is the part of the interview where we just do spitfire questions, and you only have.
Roll me up a blunt.
We only have you have to
I have to speed answer.
speed answer.
All right, go.
Okay. Damn, like he's ready for Reese. Okay. What are your dating non-negotiables?
Daily non-negotiables.
No, dating non-negotiables. Like something you just will not put up with at all.
Guilt tripping.
Period. All right, that's just one.
I mean, that
guilt
was
trip?
quick. I mean, I don't
That's the worst one that they could do.
like. I tell me the mistake and just be straight up, but don't make like little snide comments and little extra shit.
That sounds
Like,
personal. Somebody has been pressing D2B, okay? Didn't he say he's at peace? You don't got no time for that. Okay, so don't
that's why I don't have a girlfriend.
even if he's guilty, don't trip him about it. No guilt tripping. Do you bring flowers on the first date?
No.
No. Are you a jealous lover?
No.
No. How much do you tip on average?
A little bit above the regular tip, but a little under the high tip.
Okay, so more than 20%. That's all I had to
I'm
know.
frugal, not chimmy.
Do you litter?
No.
When you go to a grocery store?
Actually, I do. I throw joints out. So, technically.
But I feel like a joint is like biodegradable, no?
I ain't gonna lie, when we were growing up, I remember just driving in a car after eating In-N-Out and the homie being done eating, just out the car. And me being like, bruh, why didn't you just fuck that bag, bruh?
That's the worst.
I'm so serious, you hear him and then roll the window down and just on the
But-
freeway. I'd be like, bruh.
That's why the people with traffic court got so much fucking trash to pick up when it's their Monday to pick up the side of the...
that happened one time. He littered and like my homie was like, shit, we gonna be the ones picking it up anyways. Because he got probation and shit.
He got probation. What is that thing called when you gotta go pick up trash?
Yeah.
Okay, when you go to the grocery store and you finish shopping, do you always take your cart back to the parking spot? Like the cart
Hell
parking?
no. Hell no.
Okay, that's all I
Are you
had to
kidding
know.
me? I don't even bring the cart. Why do they have bags at the checkout?
You
Put them in
never
the
use-
bags and walk the bags. I don't even need to bring the cart.
You don't use the cart?
No, I use the cart in the store. Then when I go to the register, I put my product in the bags and then I carry the bags to
You
my car.
never bring the cart to the parking lot? Ever?
I mean, I have before, but it's not like
And
a
when you
religious
bring-
practice.
When you bring the religious practice, when you bring the cart with you to the parking lot, do you always put it back in the cart spot or do you ever just leave it?
No, I leave it diagonally, jankily in one spot and halfway in the other one.
Okay, so he litters. He doesn't put the cart back, but at least he tips over 20%. You're like, it's okay. I think
I feel like I'm getting my archetype
Pretty
like
average.
design right now. I'm getting my
Okay.
zodiac compatibility questions.
Okay, these are. You know what I named these? Do you think you're a good person? Okay. Do you only when you flush the toilet is the lid always up or down? the lid that covers the toilet, is it down?
Well, I mean, not during the courtesy flush. Like the first,
not
courtesy
during
flush, I'm sitting on it, so I am the cover.
Thank you for
You know what I'm
explaining what
saying?
a courtesy
So,
flush is.
Yeah, so there's the courtesy flush.
No,
then,
when you're...
Well, I ain't gonna lie though. I got a bidet.
Oh,
So you feel me?
that's the Caile exclusive. That's the Caile exclusive. Y'all didn't know that about DTV. We know all the sports he plays.
I'm a cleanly pooper.
Wow.
You feel me? I'm a cleanly guy.
Okay, but when you flush, is the lid down for the last flush?
I mean, it might be on the way down. Like, you know, you stand up, you feel me? And you hit the thing, and then it kind of just closes, and then you walk away. I'm not going to stand up, close it, and then, like, flush.
Oh, sorry, it's because I live in a poor people house with no bidet, so I don't know how you rich people do it. Do you curse in front of little kids?
It depends. It depends.
Do you follow your exes after you guys break up on Instagram?
I'm friends with all of my exes. I'm not following her, though. No.
But you're friends?
Well,
so
cool.
you guys talk on the phone, but you don't follow each other?
Okay, one of the reasons is because we have the same birthday. So on our birthday, we always call each other, and we're like, happy birthday. Hope you're doing well. Just because we were the only people we ever met with the same birthday. And then we happened to date each other.
That's kind of cute. But how's your new girlfriend going to feel about that?
I don't have a new girlfriend.
Anyways. Just kidding.
I got a lot of friends, this girls.
He looked in the camera when he said that. Okay. Do you follow your friends' girlfriends on Instagram?
No.
None of them? Really?
I don't think so.
Okay, that's good.
Let me think.
He's like going through all his Instagram following in his head. He's like scrolling.
I don't even know. Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Let's see. One of my questions is, do you ever skip deodorant on purpose? You know, like sometimes people be like, oh, I'll just take a break. Like maybe my armpits need a break from deodorant or something. But actually, you told me another fun DTB fact.
Yeah, I've never worn deodorant a day in my life.
DTB has never worn deodorant a day in his life.
I don't need it. I've never liked it. Okay, not a day of my life. I tried it and I was like, I don't like this slimy feeling under my armpit. This shit is disgusting. And I've never had like BO, so like no, I don't use deodorant. I just use soap. And I'll be fine.
This is
I don't even wear cologne like that. Like I literally don't. I've never like really had crazy acne or like skin products or anything. I just
perfect. Just talented, handsome, perfect. Doesn't smell. Has a bidet, so his butt is always clean. His beard is greasy and shiny.
Oh yeah, cocoa butter beard for
sure. Cocoa butter down, you know. Playing the keys, does his own hair, bro. Come on, DTB.
We got a very strict self-care routine.
Seriously, you make us look bad over here. Have you ever catcalled a girl?
Yeah.
Like, hey, ooh.
No, I've done way worse than that.
What did you?
I am from the Bay Area.
What did you say? What do you say?
I don't remember. There's a bunch of phrases that is. What's the one that my friend used to do? I saw my friend. He used to do it all the time. My friend used to always go, "Oh, what's up with you, girl? I'm trying to be friends. What's up? We could be friends." That's the friend zone at the end zone.
Is that how you pick up on girls? You want to be friends?
No, you just asked if I had catcalled. Now, I'm like...
He's like, I have a new cat call now. The updated cat call.
No, I've never like whistled at a girl or said anything like out of pocket. I just like... I just try to be like confident and just like... You know, maybe say something about their hair or their eyes,
like, hey,
or
pink
how they're
purse,
looking,
pink
but
purse.
It's never like aggressive.
Nice ponytail.
Like, what was the Dave Chappelle episode where he had the janitor and he was like, holla, holla, holla. Holla, 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 holla. That shit was hella funny. No, now I'm kind of like boring. I like courting. I like going out and eating and like spending quality time because like
Honestly, I like if I can't hang out with you. That's why I say friend zone to the end zone. If I can't hang out with you, I'm not this. When it's probably not gonna go no further.
Okay, so now
I'd
we
rather
know.
go make beats.
You rather go make beats, do your skincare, huh? Mm-hmm. Grease up his beard. He's not worried about none of y'all.
At all.
Okay, DTB, that was our interview for tonight. I had such a good time talking with
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Everybody clap for DTB.
Everybody clap for Gabby and Caile.
We love you here, and like, obviously you're my real friend. This is our real friend, so I don't have to tell him he's always welcome back because he knows that already.
I'll be here.
What can we look out for DT? And I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but like he's really the greatest. Like he is the highest grossing client for IPC. So
It's like when Dave Chappelle got his check, and then there was like, how much for the haircut? And it was like $568. He was like, I thought it said 20. The sign said 27. He said, that's the old price.
So the fact that he tips a little bit more than 20%. No, I'm just kidding. DTB. DTB's the greatest.
Thank you.
What can we look out for with you?
I got a new project with All Black coming out soon. It does not have a title yet.
Okay.
I'm working on a project with an R&B singer from the Bay Area named Martine. I don't know if you guys all know. Go check him out. Marteen.
Okay.
Got an amazing project we're working on. And I have 2 songs on a big singers album that I cannot name yet, but it's coming.
Look out for that.
And yeah.
I think getting to know DTB like this, it should make you want to look at the credits and the songs, because sometimes you don't know who made it, you don't know who's in the room, and most of the time it's probably either DTB or somebody like him. So.
Oh, you know what I am gonna drop?
What?
These nuts.
Thank you, DTB. He's over it. He needed to fart. That's why he did that.
I'm just kidding. I had to do it. That was.
Thank you, DTB. I appreciate you. I had so much fun talking with you.
I did too. Thank you.
Yeah. So come back soon. And we love you.
Is there a season 2?
Eventually, there will be a season 2. Right now, we're in the 1.5 season, but you're definitely welcome back on season 2.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, DTB. Bye, everybody.
Bye. All right, I need to smoke.
Good job.
Big squad wheel.
Gennaro.
Livianita como picaflor, original, no de remate, bate como chocolate y sirve sopa de caracol. Sirve sopa de caracol. Sirve sopa de caracol. Muévete en el espejo, muévete en el espejo. Enamórate del reflejo, enamórate del reflejo. Muévete en el espejo, muévete en el espejo. Muévete en el espejo, enamórate del reflejo. No mezclo, vivo aparte. No vivo pa' gustar. Vivo pa' gustarme. No me quiero juntar. Atrevida como Megan, potra como Ivy Queen. De esta medicina no tienes en el botiquín. Cintura de Thalía, caderas de Shakira. El baile más prendido hasta cuando nadie mira. ¿Quién me quiere conocer mejor? Pues ve y ponte en fila. Soy agua caliente, tu novia té de manzanilla. Todo a mí me sobra, no me cuesta darte. Pero la cita conmigo misma, esa no se comparte. Livianita como picaflor, original, no de remate. Bate como chocolate y sirve sopa de caracol. Sirve sopa de caracol.
You can see her from a mile away cause she loud.
Muévete en el espejo, muévete en el espejo. Enamórate del reflejo, enamórate del reflejo. Muévete en el espejo, muévete en el espejo. Muévete en el espejo, enamórate del reflejo.
Can you like not call me for like
Cuando suba la luna y baje el sol, ponle llave a la puerta, pierde el control. Pon a fulanito, es lo mejor. Esta cuarentena entró en calor. La visión más hermosa la veo con lente rosa, aguacero de sudor, deja la vista borrosa. Sé que eres espirituosa, te tratas como una diosa, te gusta tu propio olor, que salga lo escandalosa. Pelo largo, uñas sagas, el corazón pesado, bien lo cargas. Cargas cuarzos y tiras cartas, las que no te llegan las tienes hartas. El amarte tú misma es costumbre, no conoces a la incertidumbre. Apaga la luz y prende la lumbre. Livianita como picaflor, original, no de remate. Bate como chocolate y sirve sopa de caracol. Sirve sopa de caracol. Sirve sopa de caracol. Muévete en el espejo, muévete en el espejo. Enamórate del reflejo, enamórate del reflejo. Muévete en el espejo, muévete en el espejo. Muévete en el espejo, enamórate del reflejo.